You know, when you think of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, you think of the hits, the swagger, the whole show. But there's this one song that's different. A song that wasn't born in some hit factory, but came straight from a moment of national tragedy. It was way more than just music. It was a message, a plea, and a dream for a better world. The song kicks off with this incredibly powerful vision of unity, a better land where all my brothers walk hand in hand. It's just a beautiful, hopeful image, right? But what makes it so powerful is that this dream wasn't just some generic wish. It was a direct answer to a very real, very specific American nightmare. And that's really the heart of this whole story, because to understand this song, you have to look beyond Elvis himself, to the inspiration that sparked its creation in the first place. The story behind these lyrics is one of tragedy, defiance, and a really profound connection to another king.
So, the song, If I Can Dream, it wasn't just another hopeful pop tune. Nope. It was a direct echo of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Its lyrics don't just happen to rhyme. They resonate with King's vision of equality and brotherhood. And believe me, that was no accident.
The man who actually wrote the words was Walter Earl Brown, and he wasn't just trying to write a hit song. He was channeling the grief and the hope of an entire nation into music, and he wrote it specifically for Elvis to sing. To really get the raw power of this song, you have to go back to 1968. It wasn't just a turbulent year. It felt like the whole world was just coming apart at the seams. I mean, just look at this timeline. It is staggering. On April 4th, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Just 2 months later, Senator Robert F. Kennedy was also assassinated. And then, a mere 18 days after that, Elvis walked into a studio and recorded this song. It was this immediate, raw, emotional response to an unspeakable tragedy. And you have to understand, this wasn't just some random song assigned to a singer. The songwriter, Earl Brown, he knew that Elvis deeply admired Dr. King and was absolutely shattered by his murder in Memphis, which was Elvis's own hometown. The song became a way for Elvis to process his grief and to speak to a nation that was hurting so badly. You can just feel it in these lyrics, right? They perfectly capture that feeling of the time, that sense of despair and confusion that just had a grip on America. It wasn't a metaphor. It felt totally real. But the song, thankfully, doesn't stay in that darkness. Now you'd think a song this powerful, this meaningful, would be an easy choice, right? Well, wrong. The biggest obstacle to If I Can Dream ever seeing the light of day actually came from inside Elvis's own camp, from his legendary and, let's be honest, controlling manager, Colonel Tom Parker. The stakes could not have been higher. This song was proposed as the huge finale for Elvis's career-reviving 1968 TV special. But his manager, the Colonel, had a safe, traditional Christmas song planned to end the show. So this was a radical change of plans. And that was the Colonel's verdict, right there. This ain't Elvis's kind of song. He thought it was too political, too serious. It just wasn't the kind of simple, money-making tune he wanted from his star. He just dismissed it. But for once, Elvis was not going to back down. And this, right here, was a huge turning point for Elvis. After he heard the demo, he put his foot down. He was so deeply moved by the song's message and saw it as his chance to actually say something meaningful. He fought his manager for it, which was a rare act of artistic defiance that, honestly, changed everything. And you know what? That fight paid off. When Elvis finally got into that studio to record the vocals, something truly special happened. This wasn't just another recording session. This was a performance that was fueled by pure passion and conviction. This quote from one of the backing vocalists, it just says it all. People in the studio were supposedly in tears. They saw a side of Elvis they had never seen before. A man just pouring every single ounce of his feeling, his grief, and his hope into that microphone. He wasn't just singing the words, he was living them. So, after all that drama, all that fighting, did the public actually connect with it? Oh, absolutely. The song shot up the charts, peaking at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was a massive hit, and it proved that Elvis's instincts were totally right, and the Colonel's were, well, wrong. And we're not just talking about chart success here. It was a commercial juggernaut. It sold over 1 million copies in the US alone. That message of hope really resonated with a public that was desperate for that beckoning candle the lyrics promised. And the impact wasn't just limited to the US. The song went all the way to number 2 in Australia, which just goes to show that the dream for a better world was, and still is, a truly universal one. But you know, the song's success wasn't just about chart positions or how many records it sold. Its real legacy is in what it represented, and the message it continues to carry forward all these decades later. I love this quote from Elvis's close friend Jerry Schilling, because even though Walter Earl Brown actually wrote the lyrics, the performance was so personal, so deeply felt, that it basically became Elvis's own testimony. He wasn't just the singer, he was the song's soul.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. The song didn't just capture the sorrow of a nation, it actually offered a path forward. It proved that music could be so much more than just entertainment. In this case, it was Dr. King's dream, given a powerful new voice by the king of rock and roll.
So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could a 3-minute pop song truly carry a dream forward? In the case of If I Can Dream, a song born from tragedy and conviction, the answer seems to be a resounding yes. It's a reminder that as long as we have the strength to dream, we really can, in fact, redeem our souls and fly.